consequences. There's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on our podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Guys, we're going to stay focused. We got a lot going on in the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. We're going to continue to dissect things in our beautiful community over here. I want to welcome the countries from around the world. There are about 12 countries that are downloading the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We welcome you to America as we dissect these different things over here. So we've got our flag behind us that represents our great nation. We have our presidential seal here to remind us to continue to pray for the executive branch of our nation. We want to continue to pray for our fellow Americans. There is a lot still living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. We want people to do well. We want our fellow Americans to do better. And so we're going to keep talking about leadership. We got our election coming up. We got a lot of things going on in our different states and in our nation across the board. And so we're going to dissect things. And so tonight, we're going to examine something that's generated a lot of discussion in our nation. And we're going to talk about now we know. Now we know. People go, I didn't know. I didn't know. You didn't know what? Well, we're going to know some things tonight. Now you know. And our clinical perspective is the power of insight, because when you know certain things, you get insight. Now, anyone who's been paying attention in our nation and can be intellectually honest has to admit that we, the people, have been targeted in a very specific way. Now, politics, you know I talk about politics over here a lot. Political parties, it's all about platforms. It's not so much for me anymore about Republican and Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. It's about policies and it's about platforms. That's what I shifted to. What's the policy? What's the platform? Now, have you, my fellow Americans, ever seen a political party in America cheer for the failure of its president? I've never seen anything like it in my life. I used to grow up and it's like, oh, Carter, oh, Ford went through, oh, Reagan went through, oh, Clinton went through, oh, this next one, the next one, the next one. And it's like they did their term, they went on, they retired, they might show up every now and then. I've never seen anything regarding what's been presented to us. And the shift started with Barack Hussein Obama, with the perspective and how things were being looked at and how they were being presented to us. I call him the Trojan horse, and there's a reason why. Now just stick with me here. And a lot of you already know why, and some of you are learning why. You just got to be able to be honest, intellectually honest. Have you ever seen a political party that cheers the failure of its president? And therefore, if you want your president, I want all of them to do well. Always wanted them to do well. So if you want the failure of a president, are we cheering for the failure of our country and its citizens? So when we see that dynamic that's presented related to Trump in a way that I've never seen before, we know what it sounds like and we know what it looks like. Have you ever seen the relentless efforts that have been unending and purposeful regarding the maligning of an American president? And right there, I can hear people say, yeah, they did it with Obama. Well, were they responding to things that he was doing that we'd never seen done before? So with Trump, everybody liked Donald Trump for the most part before he came down that escalator. So the thing that started all this vitriol towards him was that he won. He won. He won the election. Listen, after he won, and even before, he was talking about he was going to drain the swamp, drain the swamp. The swamp became completely terrified because they knew he would follow through. And when we look, when he was saying that back then, 2015, 2016, then we see all of the fraudulent scams and money laundering fronts. Guys, they knew all that kind of stuff was going on back. Oh, it was always going on. It was going on. And then it got put on steroids. It was going on with the stimulus package. It was going on with Obamacare. It was going on with COVID-19. Oh, yeah. It was going on with USAID, all this money we were sending overseas, where we were paying for transgender surgeries. Wasn't for teaching people how to farm. Oh, yeah. And then there was the illegal immigration. We didn't know all what was going on until he became president. Then he got elected the second term, and then the covers were really snatched off. So the swamp became very concerned at the beginning. And so what did Obama start? The Russian hoax. What did Obama do? Had Trump Towers wiretapped. Why? Why? What we have observed is a well-orchestrated plan from the left to bring socialism, AKA communism, to the United States of America. Marxists, socialists, Marxists to go into communism. They want to bring America, capitalism, to its knees. They want us to implode, and that's what Donald Trump is all about. Capitalism, businesses, us having our business. He wants these babies to have the money to start a business when they're 18. Nobody's ever heard of that. Whereas the socialist Marxist agenda is for us to be government dependent. Bring all the illegals in and pay for all this for them. Their housing, their health care, their free money card, their child daycare. Forget about the Americans that have been here. Forget about them. We're going to parole people out of prison, bring them in and pay for all that. That's our reality. It's never happened before, not like that. When people were coming into this country, you got a green card, you got a sponsor. I knew people that came in like that. It was done the right way. Green card, sponsorship, so forth, and so on. I don't even hear anything about that kind of stuff anymore. When they were bringing in 5,000, went up to 10,000 a day, it was unprecedented. It came through the Democrat Party, the Obama, Biden, Harris cabal. Now, though the efforts of the mainstream media have been relentless, they've made sure that their voters have been dumbed down to the real facts and programmed to believe certain things. Guys, it's no different than what Adolf Hitler did through his minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, with those people receivers, where they were little small radios, and they programmed what those people heard. That's exactly what's been going on in America. As people look at CNN, I don't look at any of it, and haven't in 6 years, and I'm very well informed. People receivers, dumbing us down, propaganda, programming our fellow Americans to believe certain things. And there are people I love. I hear the things they say, and it is really sad, and it's pathetic. And I look at what they say. Somebody had the nerve to look at me and say, my mama hate Trump, and you think he God. And you know he hate Kamala based on how he say her name. Wow. How does he say her name? I thought about how he said it. He says Kamala. What do you mean? What? How? What? What? No, I don't think Trump is God. Your mother can choose to hate who she wants to hate. I don't hate anybody. I don't think Trump is God. Jesus is God. Jesus said, when you sing me, you sing the Father. So Trump is not God. Trump is the president. And he's fighting hard for this nation. And we got people that are surrounding us that believe all this vitriol that they hear on TV. They look at TV all day long. Sleep with it on. All day long, 24 hours a day, being programmed. You're being programmed. That's just the reality of what's going on. Guys, what we've been presented with as well is making sure that very specific types of candidates, that they were the ones that ran for office because they knew that they could be controlled. They could be controlled. Somebody like me, if I ran for office, they can't control me. I messed around and got older, and I know the truth, and all I'm gonna do is just say it. And there are many that have come forth that get it, we get it, and we can't be controlled. See, it's about power and control. And the narrative has been predictable. Just look at the past, guys, and the political candidates that they were just pushing, and we're supposed to all get in behind them. You had AOC. She goes down to Tennessee, and she talks a certain way. Talking Southern and talking quote-unquote black, AOC. Jasmine Crockett, talking vile, loud, and she's got all this amazing educational training, but she gets in certain settings, and she is just nasty with her mouth. Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, oh my God. A lot of times she sounds inebriated. She just does. But she changes the way she talks based on who she's around. Hakeem Jeffries, Mamdani, the mayor of New York. They just change the way they talk. I don't change the way I talk. And many of we just talk. We've got Abigail Spanberger, Swalwell, Buttigieg, Pritzker. Guys, they have a predictable presentation, and it's prone to change based on who they're in front of. That's just the truth. Now, we're talking about now we know. Now we know what? Now we know what? I'm just framing some things here. Then we're going to look at insight for our clinical perspective. Here's an important question to consider. What have these people done for America to make your life better? Name me one thing. I'm going to wait just a little bit. Write it down. Put it in the comments here. What have these people that I have laid out in the Democrat Party, what have they done? Did they come up with the Democrat Party's account for youth? Have they done that? Did they pay, did they develop a bill to give you a cut on your medication? Have they done that? Have they developed IRAs for adults, for children? Guys, in the early 1900s, Russia's revolutionary politician, and he was a political theorist. His name was Vladimir Lenin. And he made a claim. And this is what he said. He said, give me a generation, one generation, to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. Why do you think they have come after our children? Why do we see children? It's like they've lost their minds in the streets. They're fighting. It's like they're vicious. They have no coping strategies. They have no communication skills. That's all by design. That's all by design. The music, what they've been exposed to, what they're teaching them in school, the whole LGBTQ agenda. I love my fellow Americans that choose that as adults. That's their right to choose. But you do not have the right to target our babies with your grown agenda, with your agenda that you'll give an account for. I'll give an account for mine. But these babies, they can't defend themselves. And we're teaching them how to pleasure their bodies in elementary school, teaching them what to do with their fists. Who's going to speak up about it? Is that right to focus them on that in elementary school? And we wonder why reading scores have plummeted. We wonder why 80 to 85% of black boys can't read past the 4th grade level in terms of proficiency. That is staggering to me. And then we teach them through music, song, and videos, and even in church, how to stay offended. Guys, we have to have leaders that call this stuff, call it a spade, and say the buck stops here. We're going to lock down on phonics. We're going to lock down on teaching history that's accurately told. We're going to teach parents how to come into a school and ask who, what, when, where, how, and why, and how to properly engage in a parent-teacher conference and how to structure our homes. We've gotten away from it. So we've got agendas that want to promote Leninism. Lenin. What is that? It is a revolutionary ideology aimed at replacing a political system. And that's exactly what's been perpetrated upon us. Our Department of Education has made sure our children hate America, not trust their parents, hate the president, and hate themselves. And based upon what has been promoted from public school curriculums, they're teaching them that something is wrong with being born white or even being born straight. This is part of the conversation. Everything's supposed to stop because you black. Nobody owes you a darn thing because you black. The only thing we owe every American is an opportunity. And if you get in there and you stay in the game and you study and you contribute, baby, you can write your own ticket. Ask me how I know. Nobody owes you anything because of the color of your skin. And they're teaching these black kids how to be racist. It's from the pits of hell. It's from the pits of hell. We're going to call it what it is. Targeting skin color, sexuality. Those are the cards that we've been dealt. Now you know. This is what's the reality of what's going on. Guys, it appears, and it's politically driven, and it appears that the Democrat Party has morphed into this breeding ground for anti-American beliefs. Anti-American beliefs, that's what they push. They literally do not promote unity or love of this country. Prove me wrong. Guys, look at their history. Look at what they've pushed for the past decade. Over and over again, it appears that it's nothing more than hatred. They have nothing else but to spew out hatred. They call for people having their lives, the things that they push, it contributes to lives being taken. The mutilation of children, our taxpayer dollars paying for the dismembering, burning, and liquefying of our tiny citizens with viable heartbeats, all under the umbrella of health care. And we're supposed to pay for it. Kindergartners and elementary school students being taught how to pleasure their body. And 10, 11, and 12-year-olds talking about what they can do with their fist related to pleasure. That's a dangerous medical practice. It's medically it's dangerous, but it's in schools. It was in curriculums, and parents didn't find out about these things until COVID happened. And they saw on the screens these handouts and all this mess that was being perpetrated upon their children. This is why you need to be the squeaky wheel showing up at schools. Telling these kids there's no such thing as doing certain things to their bodies. No such thing as doing it in one day. It's no such thing as doing it too much in one day. I've seen the curriculum. I've seen some of the books. I'm not making this stuff up. Can you think of one thing that they have thanked President Trump for in his years in office? One thing that they told him they were grateful for. It's like he can't do anything right. There are people complaining during Christmas of 2025, when he gave them a check for $1,776. The troops were elated. There were people that hated it. Why? The troops were blessed. Do you all remember when every president that was running for office and even that was elected, they claimed that Iran could never have a nuclear weapon, and they were going to do everything possible to prevent that from occurring? All of them said it. Every single one of them said it. So, Trump shows up, and they over there, Iran, they were blocking the Strait of Hormuz, keeping vessels from coming through, blocking hundreds of vessels, including Americans, disrupting things. Never forget what happened October 7th, 2023, when 46 Americans lost their lives, when they parachuted in the Iranians, rebels, the terrorists, the #1 sponsor of terrorism in the world. They parachuted in and took the lives of over 1,200 people, including 46 Americans. And they're steady doing their little dirt about building up their nuclear capability. And Donald John Trump challenged them regarding the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of people don't say, he started it, Trump started it. No, he intervened. You can't block where all the vessels from everywhere coming through, where 20% of the world's oil is produced. But Iran wants to hold everybody Gestapo. It was a power move. So what are we gonna do? Well, you know, this is just how they do it. So Trump stands up with guts, and people are losing their minds. For many, it's like, how dare Trump follow through when we didn't? They ripped him apart instead of getting behind him and saying, thank you for addressing that. They cheered at the prospect that he would lose his life. Who does that? I don't want anybody to lose their life. Headlines, wishing and hoping that he fails. Y'all, people are foolish. Promoting their own demise as a nation. Do you remember, what was that? Rachel Maddow. She stated, U.S. military fights war on two fronts, Iran and Trump's incompetence. She should have been fired. Toxic, lying, manipulator, all on the mainstream media. And you have people that look at this day in and day out and go to sleep with it on, wake up with it on. Do you see any headlines that Trump has stopped Iran from having a nuclear bomb from reaching Europe and America? Do you see any headlines about him going for the infrastructure? They wouldn't uphold what they were supposed to do. Guys, we need to pray about these things. We need to pray for God's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to lead and guide President Trump and Marco Rubio and all of them, and Pete Hegseth and all of our chief of staff, Joint Chief of Staff. It's a lot on the line. Do you see any headlines that address the empowerment of our national security? That Marco Rubio eats, sleeps, and breathes it. Do you see headlines that says that the world is made safer from Iran with their sponsored terrorism? It's a lot. These are things that people don't know. But now you know. Now you know. Do you see how the liberal left was excited? They were excited at the prospect of someone becoming successful at harming him. Who does that? Who does that? Can you imagine Americans wanting a president to fail? Guys, this is where we are. They're no longer a political party. They aren't. They are now socialists heading towards communism, Marxism and communism. Guys, all of this leads us to our clinical perspective. You got to have insight to see these things. I'm grateful that I have some insight. Someone gave me a very high compliment recently on a reel that I did on Facebook. They said, I don't know anyone that explains things any better to give us understanding, to help us to really understand what's going on. That was just such a great compliment, and I thank you for that. I really, really, really do. That was an honor to hear that. And so we dissect things in this community. I try to stay away. Everybody has a different calling. Some go this angle, some have that presentation, some do that. I just like dissecting things the way I do. So I'll keep doing it this way. And I thank you for the people from the 12 different countries around the world that download the podcast on the venues where downloading can happen. I really appreciate that. I hope we learn something together. Pray for America as you're in another country. We need America to do well, and we want your country to do well if everybody's doing the right thing. So guys, let's look at our clinical perspective. The power of insight. The power of insight. When we have the power of insight, it lies in its ability to transform raw data and experiences into actionable moments. When people have the power of insight, they become masters at creating powerful moments. Aha! Aha! I see it. I love having aha moments. When we embrace the power of insight, we can be utilized to be influential at bridging the gap between internal reflection and external action. We're very instrumental in making things happen. It enables individuals to shift perspectives, break free from rigid, limiting narratives, and make informed decisions, ultimately driving, changing, innovation, and deeper self-awareness. Now, there's some key aspects of the power of insight. Let's look at that. Might it give us transformative action? Insight has the ability to transcend. It just transcends simple observation. How? By providing clarity that enables not just understanding, but the ability to act on a vision. Man, have I got a vision. You've got vision, guys. We've got vision. That's what the enemy of our soul doesn't want us to have these visions and put feet to it, put legs to it, and make it happen. It can give us the power of insight and foster psychological growth. How? It fosters cognitive flexibility, reducing rigid behavioral patterns, and self-blame, which enhances emotional intelligence, and it can even foster self-compassion. Guys, this is powerful, life-changing stuff right here. Could it be that we could obtain strategic advantage if we had insight? In business and leadership, insight integrates logic with emotion. I got a lot of emotion, and I've got logic too. It can help leaders connect with what? Purpose, and create meaningful, lasting change. Guys, America, we're a force to be reckoned with. We're a force to be reckoned with. That's how we got where we got today. People thinking like this. They had insight. You get around a table, you strategically plan it out. What would happen if we had discernment in data? Discernment. I love data. I have a clinical mind. I was trained that way. But I have discernment too. God will show me something in therapeutic settings, and I'll say it, and I'll say, we're going to do this. Wow! That's how I ended up starting a 30-day treatment program where 87% of the people were clean and sober and gainfully employed 6 months later. And people said, no one has that kind of data. Yes, you do. When you have godly insight with data and structured methods, you just do. And then you get people to buy into it. And we do certain things consistently. The 3 C's: consistency, consistent, continual, and constant. Consistent, continual, and constant. I call it the 3 C's. It can actually save lives. Certain observable, measurable things. And through discernment, God would show me. He said, have them do this. For 30 minutes after lunch, we all do that. We all do that. Why? We're a community. Guys, we can turn this country around. True insight separates fact from misinformation, offering a competitive advantage by identifying the why behind the what. That's why I'm always talking about who, what, when, where, how, and why. It will change your way of thinking. The enemy of our soul does not want us to think this way. How can we develop and utilize insight in this nation, guys? How in the world does this apply to our nation? What would happen if we had connecting experiences? This involves connecting seemingly desperate data. You can have this data, but leading to profound understanding of patterns and underlying mechanisms. You look at the data and look at the patterns. You can make powerful decisions about it. Could it be that when we have the power of insight, we're able to navigate complexities? It allows individuals and leaders to navigate complex situations by focusing on the eyes of the heart, or in other words, deeper, intuitive understanding rather than just surface level facts. That's where I thrive. And I go, whoa, hold on, let's talk about this. Let's put a language to this. How do we frame this? How do we walk this out? How do we execute who, what, when, where, how, why? Guys, this stuff is powerful. Why would we do this? Because it works. What would happen if we would overcome limitations? Insight helps overcome personal and professional hurdles such as anxiety, and even in some context, a lack of perception leading to improved, more purposeful living. Guys, what have we looked at tonight? Guys, this is life-changing stuff. Now we know. Now we know. Now we know. And the power of insight. Guys, I've said it once, I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. We're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Guys, we dissect things over here. I know that we are full of greatness when we know what we know and we embrace it and we look at things and we go, wait a minute, what are the strategy, skills, and tools, clinical perspectives that could possibly apply to this? How could I apply it to my family's life? How could I apply it to my job, to my church, with observable, measurable behavior? Guys, we can change this nation, and the enemy of our souls doesn't want us thinking about it this way, but it's too late. Why? I'm here, you're here, we are here. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, as we form a more perfect union, which simply means us flowing together as one. And now we know, and we have the power of insight to help us get there. To help us get there. Guys, we are forced to be reckoned with, and we're going to keep dissecting these things in our community because I love America, I love you, and we're going to keep praying for each other. We're going to pray for the executive branch of our government, the legislative branch of our government, the judicial branch of our government. We got that flag behind us. I love it. I love this presidential seal. I love our president. I love our legislators, the Democrat, Republican. I love them all. Why? They're Americans, and I want us to do great. Keep coming back. We're going to keep going all the way in because we're getting closer and closer to this upcoming election, and there's a lot on the line. I will see you guys next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.